Hello, welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me. So to make the stand for the quill, so what I've done is I've cut some of my fencing wire, which is a 0.9 centimeter fencing wire, and I've cut about 60 centimeters and I folded it in half. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put it into my chuck of my drill and twist the wire. So putting it in the drill like that. Now when you're holding your pliers at the end, you need to hold them quite tight. So lining them up, try and get them as smooth as what you can. And then hold the end of the wires together by holding the pliers upright like that, and then just spinning your drill and it'll twist the wires together for you. Depending on how thick you want the twist to be. So I'm going for something that's not too twisted. So it's a bit like that. So to make the stand for the quill, what I'm doing is I've taken my twisted wire and I'm just going to bend that up just to give me a starting point. So it doesn't matter which way you bend it. So I've got a pair of pliers that I'm just using, and I've got a needle nose pliers, so I'm just going to take it in and just bend it up so that I've got a starting point. Right, so the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to go up 12.5 centimeters. So taking your ruler and just measuring that, you're going up 12.5 centimeters. So to bend it at 12.5 centimeters. So holding your pliers at your 12.5 centimeters, just take it and bend it just around the pliers like that. So now you've got a little square like this. So now going in about 1 centimeter, what you're going to do is you're going to just bend the wire down so that you've got a little square at the top like that. Now I'm going to take a mandrel. You can use a pen. I'm just using a texter to hold it on there and then to bend it up and over to make the recess for the pen to sit in. Like that. And now on the other side of the loop, hold your ruler in line with it, put your pliers exactly on that one, and then bend it over so that they're lined up like that. So then you've taken your pliers, get exactly the same part of your pliers on that side as on this side, and just squash that one down as well, which brings you now to the bottom of the stand. Making sure that you've got your pieces lined up at the top. Now what you're going to do is you're going to go down to the bottom here and at exactly the same position, take your ruler once again, get your measurement, and now you're going to be bending this one upwards. So now you've got something that looks like that. So now on the base that you've just turned over like that, what you want to do is go put the ruler on the upright and go and measure 11.5 centimeters, and then this one we're going to be bending upright as well, so just bending it up like that so we can start making the other side of this. So try and make sure you've got a right angle in the corner so that it balances nicely. So that's good. So far it looks like that. So now you're going up 3.5 centimeters, and once again you're going to just turn this one, if you're holding it, to the right to get the next curve to make the same shape as this one on the other side, but just lower down. So same thing, just complete that one. So measuring where you had your pliers is a good idea. So the pliers is there. I'm just going to mark my pliers so that I know where to put the bottom ones in. So, and then I'll get the same size position of my wires. So just moving that down, putting the marking on there, and then bend the wire downward against the pliers. So now they're exactly the same size. So now taking your mandrel again, holding it in position and then rotating the wire around. So you've got your position for your pen. And then once again, lining it up exactly the same place, you're going to bend the wire to the right again. So just hold it in place and bend it to the right. Then once again, I've marked my pliers so I know where I'm putting that one. That's going to go there, and then we're going to bend it downward. So that your position is like that. Now what you're going to do is measure again with this one, and we're going to be bending that one away from us. So pretty much if I'm holding it like this, I'm still going to be bending it to the right like that. And then that's our little stand for our quill. Now what you need to do is make a slightly smaller one that is going to go inside that one so that it's a little bit more stable than that. So I've made the two of them and that's what they look like. And now I'm just going to take some very fine wire and I'm going to wire the two of them together so that I've got a little bit of a gap like that. I'm using a bullnose clamp just to hold them at the distance that I need them to be, and then I'm just going to wire them all in. Now start with the outside one and attaching that by winding it around twice. And then we're going to go through again and coming up underneath the inside one. And then going through the middle of the two again. Making sure your wires don't kink. And then through to the other side. And then back through the middle of the two of them again. And then up over the center one. And and then through the middle again. So we're making that figure of 8. We're going to just go around the outside one twice to finish it off. When you're cutting your wires, try and cut them so that they're on the inside between the two of them, so that if somebody happens to touch it, they're not going to get hurt. So taking the bullnose pliers and cutting it as close as I can, and then taking my flat nose pliers and just closing it all off so that there are no sharp edges. And just continue wiring all the pieces into place until you're happy with how they're sitting. So as you can see on mine, I've left the really long leg on the side, which is going to be poking into the box to secure it for a balancing point. So now I've got another piece of the wires that we've done, and we're going to be making the swells that go in the middle. So now placing your round nose pliers, make sure that you don't have anything sticking out at the top. Then just rotate the pliers when you can't go any further, move it back, and then rotate it again so that you get a complete circle like that. And then put your pliers in again and then just rotate. Now, moving the position of your pliers, you want to make your swirl bigger. So now we're going to just go and rotate, going all the way around so that we get a big swirl. Then once you get to a certain size, you can make them as big as you want or as small as you want. Just hold it, and every time you're just rotating a little bit like that. So your swirl is starting to look like that. So from when you finished your swirl, start shaping it so that it can go in the opposite direction. Now the distance from pretty much about the top part of the swirl here down to the end part of the next swirl is about 11 centimeters. So just trim that off and then do the same swirl but in the opposite direction. And then your swirl should look like that. And now just make another one the same so that we can put them into the middle of our little piece that we've wired together, and just wire them in the same manner as you wired the other pieces together. To make the base of it, I've just got an ordinary cardboard box, and my measurements of this cardboard box are 28 centimeters, and I'm making it 13 centimeters. So I've got to modify this box because it's a very big box. So I'm going to be cutting it down to make it 13 centimeters, with this being part of the base of it. So I'm just going to cut that box down now. So I've cut my box down, and now I'm just going to score it over here and then fold it over and score the sides and collapse those inward as well. And the other thing that I've done is I've cut out my little hole as well. So for the base of the box, I've gone in from my box 3 centimeters, and I've gone up 3 centimeters on both sides, and then I've just done a curve, and then I'm going to cut that out. So that's what the little curve looks like, all cut out. And the next thing that I've got is a little container like this. Maybe it's just from some chewing gum, and I'm going to just put it onto my box and trace around it and then cut that circle out. To make the swirls that go around the box, we're taking some more of our twisted wire, and you're going to be cutting them down at 10 centimeters. So we just cut these ones down at 10 centimeters. So holding it in place like that. And then just take the one that you've cut and use that as a template and cut the others out. Now you're going to need 20 of these, so just cut your 20 pieces out. So to do the swirls, very simple again. Put your wire in the end of your round nose pliers, make sure that you can't feel the wire at the top of it, and then rotate the pliers until you can't go any further. Move the pliers back, keeping it in the same position. Rotate it again. Same thing, can't go any further. Move it back, and a final rotation. and then just do the other side. Now instead of doing it inward, you're going to be doing it outward. So we're just going to put the pliers, the wire back into the pliers, same position, and now making sure that we've got it facing the right direction, we're going to roll our pliers outward and then rotate and rotate once more. Then what you need to do is just take your finger and just bend it a wee bit so that you get a nice curl in the middle, so that your swirl looks like that. And then just do all 20 of them. For the decorations that go on the side of the box, you're going to need to make your swirls. You need 4 with a measurement of 22 centimeters at the straight wire, and then you swirl that to make that one. The next size is an 18 centimeters, and the next one down is a 14 centimeters, and then you're going to need 8 roses as well. So to make the roses to go onto the box, it's a pretty easy one. We're just taking a piece of straight wire which is 14 centimeters, and all you're going to do is place it, your wire, into right at the tip of the round nose pliers, so that you can't feel the wire poking at the top, and then just rotate the wire. When you can't go any further, move it back, and again. So you've got a little tiny centerpiece like that to work with. Now all you're going to do is just hold your pliers and just rotate the wire round and round. Very simple. When you can't go any further with the round nose pliers, take flat nose pliers, hold it in place, and then just move it around. Just going round and round like that until you've used up all the wire. And as you can see, it's really flat. Now all you have to do is just bend the sides down a wee bit to make the center part raise up a little bit. Once it's raised up a wee bit like that, just continue winding your wires around. Once you get to a centimeter, that's all you've got left of your wire. Take 2 pairs of pliers now, and what you're going to do is you're going to bend this wire downwards so that it's poking out that way, so that we can poke that into the box. And there's your rose. And then you need 8 of these. You can leave them all silver if you want. I want them gold, so I'm going to be spray painting all these pieces. So the first thing I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be spray painting them all in black first. I've got the small little roses and that stuck into a piece of polystyrene. Yes, the polystyrene is going to melt, but that's the only way that I can hold them. So I'm going to just spray those as well. While I'm waiting for my paint to dry, I'm going to paint the little box. I'm going to be painting that in Mars Black. So for my little box, I'm only painting the sides of the box. I'm not painting the top. The paint is dry on all my little pieces, and now I'm going to spray them with gold. All my pieces are dry now, so now I'm going to just give them a coat of this clear gloss. I've had to cut an extra piece of cardboard to put on the top of my little box, because as you can see, it's got the indentations of cans on it, which I don't like. So I'm going to be painting this piece white, and then I'm going to marble it. I'm just using a white interior low sheen acrylic paint, which is just an ordinary house paint. To do the marbling, I painted my piece of cardboard white, and now I've got this off-white colour that I'm going to be using, and I'm just going to randomly take my little sponge and just dab it in a few places There's not an awful lot of difference, but I just want to get a slight difference for when I get to put my grey veins into it. So that's all I'm doing with this one, because I'm making the pattern go in one direction. So that's the cream colour. Now I've got this really light coloured grey. Once again, not a major difference in the colour, but it's still just a very small subtle difference. So I'm just going to put some of that in where I've put my cream colour. And then I've got a dark grey colour which I'm going to be putting in as well. So just sparingly on this one. And then I'm just going to take it's just a round brush, and all I'm going to be doing is putting my brush in the paint and rotating it like this just to mix the colours together. So just holding it in the middle and just rotate the paintbrush, which will give you some nice patterns going through. And then I'm taking the sponge again and just going to blend it a bit more so it's not quite so hard. And now I'm just taking some of the white that I painted it originally with and just dabbing some of the white onto that, because I'm finding this just a little bit too dark. And then taking the other side of the sponge, just going to blend that a bit more. Now, while the paint is still a wee bit wet, I don't suggest you use toilet paper or tissue. Take a cloth, and what you do is you're going to just take some water and you're just going to splash it onto the painting. Not too much, just a little bit, so it can dilute some of the paint. And then what you're going to do is just dry all that off, and it'll take some of the paint off and leave beautiful pockets. So that's a close-up of what it looks like. As you can see, it looks rather genuine. Not sure whether you can see how the pockets are formed there too. Make it look like marble. So using some of the dark grey, I've got this tiny little striping brush, and I'm just going to put some of the veins in. So when you do the veins, don't try and draw straight lines, just take your paintbrush and just put it on to your paper and just wiggle it so that you get random instead of a nice controlled line. So you can do the stripes however you want to do them, in whatever direction that they're going to go in. Make sure that they're going all in the same direction though. And if you think that they're too dark, just take your sponge again and just blend them out a wee bit. So you get a very subtle line instead of a very hard, harsh line going through. So that's what it looks like close up now. As you can see, it really does make a very big difference when you do that. Now you can, if you want to, add some titanium white to the veins. I'm quite happy with how that is looking, so I'm not going to be adding the white veins to this particular one. So that's what our piece of marble, faux marble, is looking like. Now once that is dry, I'm going to be putting the floor polish on, and I'm going to put 3 coats on that. I'm going to be using this Brilliance Sealer Finish floor polish on them to give them a really nice brilliant shine. So that's the whole piece, what it looks like. So now that my box is dry with the black paint, I'm going to be taking a sponge. If you can get a little sponge that has got a lot of nice little pockets in it like that, it makes a very, very nice pattern. It's not important though if you've got one that's just smooth like this. So I'm going to be just taking some of my gold paint, and I'm just using gold metallic paint, which is just an acrylic paint, and I'm just going to dab my sponge into the paint and take most of it off, because I just want to sort of like weather or make it look antique. So I'm just going to dab the gold all over the box, and then just cover the whole box on the sides like that. So that's the design that I've gone for. I've put the 2 emerald stones on the side here as well, and that's what the side looks like. And now we're going to do the front. So for the front decoration, I've used 2 of the 22 centimeter wires that we wound, and 2 of the 18 centimeters, and 2 of the 10 centimeter ones, and then on the corners here I'm going to be gluing these small little diamantes onto there, and then I'll be putting some other stones and putting some of the yellow diamantes all the way from there to there, and I've just put the rose in the middle. I'll be putting some white diamantes there and a green emerald on the leg with a yellow stone underneath that as well. To decorate my marble piece, I've surrounded the marble piece with the gold twisted wire. I'm going to drill holes into the 4 corners so I can place the roses in. I glued all the small swirls around with hot glue. As you can see, after putting the polish on, it looks rather beautiful and shiny. Now the next thing we're going to be doing is in the top of the box, because once we've glued all the roses and that into it, we've got all these little spikes that are sticking up. So instead of poking holes in the box, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the drill and I'm going to just drill holes in the box so it doesn't misshape the box. So I've finished putting on all the decorations onto the box, so that's what the front looks like. You can decorate it however you want. That's the front, and then the sides. And now I'm going to use contact adhesive. I'm just using this fast grip contact adhesive to glue the 2 pieces together. So I painted my little ink jar black and then the lid gold, and now that we've had to make the extra piece for the top, what I'm doing is now placing the pieces in the position that I want to put them in. See how they're going to sit, and then I'm going to cut them out and drill the hole and place them into position. So positioned where I want them to go, I've drilled a hole in the bottom, and now what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be using a needle to poke holes in, and I'm going to use a 26 gauge wire to secure it in the 3 spots, so that's and over there, so it's all secured down, and then I'm going to cut the hole out for the ink pot. So I've positioned my piece a little bit to the left because I want my whole quill to sit pretty much on top of the box without it sticking out too far on the side here. So that's the position that I'm going to be putting it in. So my quill will be sitting like that, and then it covers pretty much the whole box. And now I'm just going to cut the circle out for the ink pot. So I've attached my little quill stand, and now I'm cut the hole out of my base, and then I just place my ink pot in there, and now I'm going to decorate this part, and I'm going to put a stone. So I've drilled a wee bit of a hole there so that I can get one of the diamond shaped ones that's got the point that comes, the facets that come down, so that it can actually lie flat through that hole. I've got this bag of all these different kinds or sizes of plastic diamonds, which I've taken one of them and I've placed it in the hole there. Having a look at it, it looks a bit plain, so I'm actually going to be putting a circle of gold around it as well. So these are the small gold rings that I made to go around the diamonds, and what I'm doing is I've drilled 2 holes on either side of my quill holder, and now what I'm doing is I'm placing the little circles around the stones and then placing the diamonds into the hole with the little gold circle around them. And I've got 2 diamonds on each side of my quill holder. So as you can see, when you've drilled a hole into the box, when you put the stone in, it leaves like a black hole that you can still see through. So what I'm doing is I've taken some of this aluminium foil and I've put it behind the stone. So when you look at the stone, there's no hole behind it, and it makes it a little bit more sparkly. So I've just wrapped the stone in the aluminium foil to place into the hole. So that's what the one looks like wrapped up in the stone, and there's the other one. And for the lid, I've got these rhinestone buttons which look like that, which are little tiny gold buttons, which I'm going to be putting on the lid. And I've got this gold diamante ribbon which I'm going to be cutting one strip off as well, and I'm going to be gluing that on the bottom rim of my bottle. These are the green emerald light stickers that I'm using. They're all self-adhesive stickers that I'm putting on. If you found this video helpful or you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. Really appreciate it if you would subscribe. Thank you so much for watching.